Hey guys, Curtis Alexander. I'm a pharmacist. In this video, I want to talk about the connection between vitamin D and gut health. And the reason I want to do that is I've made videos before on gut health and vitamin D. And one of the things I've been asked is if you could do one thing to improve gut health, what would be the first thing you would do? Vitamin D, checking your status and getting it in non-obvious ways. I'll get to that in a second. But your vitamin D level is critical to your gut health. I want to explain why. So first of all, we know that vitamin D is going to do a number of things in your body. This is in no particular order, these benefits that I'm talking about. But let's just start with improved microbiome. So you've heard of probiotics, those sorts of things. One of the things vitamin D does is it actually increases some of those probiotics in your gut. Lactobacillus is one of them. You've probably heard of that if you've looked at any probiotic supplements. And when that happens, it basically brings about an anti-inflammatory effect in your guts. And it's kind of self-perpetuating because not only does it help with anti-inflammatory, but it's also going to enhance your vitamin D receptors. So your receptors are more sensitive, you're getting more vitamin D in the system, and it kind of builds upon itself. Also, we can see the amount of B vitamins go up as well. Another thing vitamin D does is your RAS system. RAS is renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. And it's involved a lot. You hear about it a lot. There's medications that cover it, and it's primarily focuses on lowering your blood pressure. Interesting study they did. They took an angiotensin 2 receptor blocker called losartan, and when they gave it to those folks, they discovered that their colitis symptoms or inflammation in the colon went down. Well, it makes sense because the RAS system, when we give vitamin D, it can block that vasoconstriction, and we see again the inflammation going down. So important there. We also see benefits with vitamin D as far as the building and the breakdown that we see in the gut, because when you give vitamin D, or excuse me, if you don't have enough vitamin D, if your vitamin D is low, you're going to see the thickness of the mucosal walls, basically the walls in your guts start to decrease, that they become thinner, and then that allows cytokines to go up, and cytokines are an inflammatory compound. You're starting to see this inflammation thing pop up a lot here. So it's very important in that regard. It's also very important in cleaning up your gut. And what we mean by that is you've likely heard of autophagy. Autophagy is kind of your body's system to clean up old cells and old cell parts, that kind of thing. It's a cleanup system. When you're low in vitamin D, that cleanup system goes down. You don't have as much autophagy. So very important for that. Here's a big one. 5-HT. 5-HT is serotonin, and it can keep serotonin in check. And I've talked about this before. 95% of your serotonin is made in the gut. And we have a lot of people that are on selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the antidepressants. So we have very high levels of serotonin in our society. But when you have low vitamin D levels, it causes an enzyme called TPH1. It's related to tryptophan. Tryptophan is a building block for serotonin. Well, that enzyme that makes serotonin, when your vitamin D levels are low, the enzyme activity goes up. You make more serotonin, you have more inflammation. When you have that inflammation, it also eats up your ATP. ATP is basically the energy for all the cells in your body. The end result of that, you have immune system issues, you have gut permeability issues, a lot of nutrients, good and bad, getting through that shouldn't, and you decrease the absorption of nutrients in your gut. So the serotonin thing is very important. Serotonin is natural. We need levels of it, but we don't want it getting too high. Vitamin D helps keep that in check. Finally, we have basically it's vitamin D almost acts like an antibiotic in our guts. And what I mean by that, we have these little things called AMPs, which are antimicrobial peptides, okay? Now, when your vitamin D levels increase, it can actually cause these genes that bring about these antimicrobial peptides to become activated essentially. And this allows you to keep pathogens, in check. We've even seen vitamin D help with things like irritable bowel disease, those sorts of things. So it acts essentially like an antibiotic in your system. So people will ask, okay, well, I'll just supplement with vitamin D, right? I've made videos about this. I used to supplement with vitamin D. I'm no longer a fan of it at this point. We have more and more research coming out. I prefer to get your vitamin D from sensible sun exposure. You know, be smart about it. You don't want to get sunburned, but first of all, get rid of polyunsaturated fatty acids in your diet. Get sun exposure, okay? It's important. It's the best way to get your vitamin D. If you're in a northern climate like I am right now and you don't have a lot of sun to be exposed to, you can look at vitamin D lights. I'll put a link to the particular one I use through the winter months. Food is an important one. And if you don't have a lot of options and you're looking at supplementing, I would lean more towards a topical supplement rather than an oral supplement. That's just my personal take, what I would personally do. So that's how I would tackle it. But hopefully this video's kind of opened your eyes to just how important vitamin D is to your gut health. So let me know in the comments, guys, if this makes sense. Have you had your vitamin D levels measured? Do you have any of these GI symptoms? Has vitamin D helped with that? Okay. Really helpful for me to hear your feedback, and it's helpful for people that watch the video to hear from your firsthand experience. So speaking of helpful, I hope this video was, guys. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.